What's up, YouTube? I just made a 40-minute video and I deleted it because it was just too long. A lot of stories and good information, I guess, in there, but try to keep stuff a little shorter for you guys and simple. So I kind of go off topic and I'm not feeling good. If you can't tell, very congested, getting over something. So forgive me if I'm clearing my throat and coughing a lot. But there's a lot of stuff that people do that's a mistake in the Mustang world. And I've made them. I thought certain parts might work better than what they should. One of the big ones are GT40 heads. And I'm not talking the steel Explorer Cobras. I'm talking the aluminum, the ones that you would think are the best ones, the aluminum GT40s. Now, if factory stock is allowed to use those heads, how good can they be? Because that is a class where they try to just make you run with junk. So let that be a little bit of a hint. Because those heads ain't nothing special, except for the weight off the block. That's about it. An E7, I think, would outrun a set of GT40 SVO, especially the old swirl ones or turbo swirls or the SVO ones, whatever they were. They made the X later on. They might be a little better. Even the GT40 steel ones, unless they're done up, not that great. It's not worth taking an E7 off to put those on. A tenth to say you got GT40s. I'm going to put it to you this way. When I was racing my car, if you had GT40s, I'd make that a big deal. That thing's got GT40s on it. And every car that had GT40s on it, except for one, and they weren't stock GT40s, but every car that I raced with stock GT40s, let me rephrase, with stock GT40s, ran like crap. They weren't that fast. Ran good for what they were, I guess. You know, about average, you know. But when you're talking an adder car going into 10s or low 11s, not 10s. I think it might have broke into the 10s maybe finally, but if I have to think that hard about it and I can't just say it went 10s, then that's mediocre. And that's what a speed shop did around here. One of our good machine shops that are local. They put that combination together and it couldn't get past the car built in the dirt. Whether it was on motor, adder, didn't matter. Now, when they're done up, yes, they work well. The GT40 stuff, it works good. You can have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing do a set of those heads and they turn out pretty decent. There's been a couple cars that ran respectable. You know, I say that one of them was a light, and I say gutted. That's coming from me. Gutted. And it went 1190s, I think, with ported GT40s that the guy did himself, and a cam in it. I don't know if you guys see where I'm going with this yet. Because, stock E7s went 1180s. So are they worth it? It's one thing that I think people make a mistake on. There's a couple guys on YouTube, they run good with the stuff. One guy really knows what he's doing. He gets the stuff to run. I never used them. I used the aluminum ones. They sucked. And I had a decent cam. I had the B cam. When I got the motor, it came with the stuff on it. Played with it a little bit. Car went 12s. 1270 automatic car at the time. Then I changed the cam. I think I went a 12 cam and gear. I think I got it to go like a 1220 or something. And then changed the heads, the trick flows that were actually way too big. So I went from one combination to a complete overflow of head. These heads float over 300 CFMs. And went 1150s or 1160s. Picked up half a second. 1160 I think was the best time on motor, which was decent. On spray it never went crazy. Went like a 1060. Wasn't that fast. But mistake people make a lot of the times are leaving these heads, just bolting them on. Sometimes you get lucky, or you get a good casting, or you get a good head. Then you can do that. Get away with it. And then, you know, with the cam combination, you know, if you use like a 11R, probably one of the best out of the box heads you can get. Simple, bolted on, makes power. The Trick Flow 170s, even those, bolt them on, they make power. I've seen people screw that up. Had a car, pretty sure it was Trick Flow heads, Trick Flow cam, whole top end kit. Car went 12s. Now, I think it lied in the tune. I really do. But no matter what the guy did, it went 12s. And we had a Mustang that we put together, $50 motor in it. It's actually Mickey's orange car. That car was stomping this guy's butt all night, over, and over. I mean, the guy would jump out on my buddy Alex, because Alex owned the car at the time, and he'd run him down. I mean, you're talking a stock motor running down a heads cam intake car. It was an SN car. It had some weight out of it. So yeah, it's probably, especially with him in it, it was probably 3,300 pounds. But that's a lot more motor than the car that's, you know, 2,700 pounds, 2,600 pounds, whatever it was, with driver. So yeah, you're talking power to weight, but even still, the power should be substantial. That should be almost 200 horsepower over what my buddy Alex was putting down. I mean, the heads are 75 to 100, and then you're talking a cam, you know, and then just the combination being matched and all that. That thing should make even 150 horsepower over what my buddy's setup made. And that would show even on the dyno, because you're talking a stock motor behind with a stick with the intake carb exhaust typically makes about 220 to a tire. That heads cam intake setup makes 350. I think Trick Flow used to advertise it, and I was with the little cam. This one had the big cam in it. I think it was might have been even a 306. I can't recall, but regardless, I'll say 302. That's a big mistake people make, is the wrong parts with these cars. And then you got the guys that don't want to do the stuff that they need to do to the car to make it run. So I'm talking, you know, you got racers, and then you got people who like to race. You got guys that will, oh, I want a 13.0. What can I take out of this thing to go 12s? And then you got people that say, oh, I want a 13.0. Let me put a set of heads on it, then it'll go 12s. Or let me put an intake on it, then it'll go 12s. And then they wonder why they're getting beat by the guy that has none of that. I used to have guys come to me all the time. That stock motor? What's done to this? Junk. Stock motor. Never forget, I had a Honda guy was at the track. He walked up. He's like, man, them cars are expensive, huh? I think he's Puerto Rican. They had their Honda. It was all done up. Cool car. It was neat. I think it was turboed or something. I said, no. I said, it's cheap. So I got nothing into this thing, man. I said, it's stock motor in this. He goes, what? So yeah, he goes, I've been watching that thing run. That can't be no stock motor. I said, it's right there. He says, junk. Ain't nothing crazy. It says basic. And he goes, this coming from a Honda guy. He goes, I'm going to have to talk to you. You might have to build something like this if you're what you're saying. I said, it is. I said, I ain't got nothing to hide. I wouldn't lie to nobody. Ain't got no reason to lie about it. What am I going to say? It's got heads on it when you're looking at E7s. I used to pull the baffle off the valve cover top, because I had no baffles in them. I used to pull that off and say, look down in there with a flashlight. See the stock rockers, the stock valve springs, if you know what you're looking at, with them crappy retainers on them. If you ever seen a 302 apart, you know what I'm talking about. Those big, bulky, heavy junk retainers that I can't find, that I know I got 400 of them probably laying around here. Basic. You can make something run basic. I got a guy, kind of a buddy, Facebook, driving me nuts sometimes. Some of you guys do that. I love you. Sometimes you guys drive me nuts. And it's okay to drive me nuts. I'm not saying that's wrong, but sometimes you guys drive me nuts because are GT40s worth it? I get that question a lot. It depends. Are they worth it? Is it worth it? And I told the last guy that asked me this, I said, if you get them cheap enough, sure. He goes, well, what's cheap? I said, 50 to 150 bucks. He goes, well, I was going to spend 400. You sent me ones for $400. I said, yeah, because you said you wanted GT40s. You say, hey, I want a set of GT40s. I'll send you GT40s all day long. It ain't my problem how much you got to pay for them. Are they worth it, in my opinion? Heck no. Not unless they're done up. Are they worth it to you guys? Maybe. To me, I think they're a waste of time unless you put the money and the time they need into them. Unless you're porting them. And having them milled or putting valves in them, or at least a valve spring job. Some of the guys just throw them on. And then they wonder why one guy picks up 2/10 with them and another guy picks up 1/10. But that's really about all you're picking up. Think about it. How much more power does a Cobra make over a regular GT back in 1993? Ford rated them at what? 250? I don't even know if it was that much. 235 was like 15 horsepower or something. 245 from 225. I can't remember what it was. Wasn't that much though. Be different if it made like 300. And Ford probably put halfway decent springs on them then. So think about it. We're talking the Cobra had the bigger cam in it. It was 480 lift because it had the 1.7s on it. And it had the GT40 heads. Yeah, they would probably go 12s because Cobra is more of a race car, even though it's circuit. But if you get like a Cobra R or something with no back seat, no radio, because I had the radio delete, one of them style cars. Yeah, probably go in the 12s. Because a lot of you guys aren't going to take a GT or a LX and put a radio delete in it. Unless you ordered the car that way from the factory. Which back in the 80s, some of the guys did it. Plugging my phone in so it doesn't die. Sorry about that. So GT40s, to me, not worth it. It's not worth the head bolts and the gaskets to do it. I'm going to tell you something real depressing. The guy I mentioned, he went from his steel ones, and he wanted the aluminum ones bad. He goes, I'm going to buy those, because the guy, they had a car apart, and the guy was going to sell the GT40s, putting different heads on it. And this man said, I want those heads. I want them. I'm going to put those on my motor. He pulled off his steel GT40s. that he ported himself. Put the GT40 SVO heads on, went slower. And I'm talking from 1190 to like, at first it was like 1270. Way off. I think he eventually got it to like a 1230 or 20. But it was way... You're talking almost a full second. You know how depressing that is? To put a lighter head, a better head. You think you're doing something. So those GT40s, that should have been my sign right there to not use them. But still tried them. Because I still like to try things. Even though I see other people use it, maybe I'll try that and see what it's about. The LS, I did that. I've done a decent amount of stuff. The 350, doing that now. You know, probably something I could have did years ago, but I'm doing it now. Trying to give this a fair shot. You know, building a whole 350 to try to see if it can prove itself to me to run what I think it should run. Will it? Who knows? Getting back to the Mustang stuff. I don't want to get off topic. Cams. Is it worth putting a B cam in it? What do you want it for? This is what you got to ask yourself. What do you want out of the car? Get a lot of questions. Tell you guys, you know, I get guys all the time asking me questions. Some of the guys know their stuff. They just want an opinion. Some of the guys don't know and they need the guidance. Whatever the case may be. Is a B cam worth it? Are 1.7 rockers worth it? Are you going to put the valve springs on it that the car needs for it to use it? How hard are you going to spin the motor? Because the stock cam does go to 55, 5800. So if you're going to put, say, a Trick Flow Stage 1 in it, I tried one of those cams and I hated it. I actually thought it would work good, and ever since I used it, I will probably never use a Stage 1 Trick Flow. I like their bigger cams. I think their bigger cams got some nice numbers on them, like the 3, the 4, and 5. Stage 2, you know, they're alright. I've seen some cars run decent with them. But the stock stuff, I guess Ford did their homework is the only thing I could think of. Because, you know, I mean, factory stock does what they do. There's a lot of tricks in them motors. And if you look at some of the guys back in the day, before they were allowed all the tricks and stuff, those cars didn't go 10s. You know, I mean, when they were true factory stock, when that class first came out, them guys were going 13s and 12s. If you saw one hit 11s, it was like, wow. You know, like, that guy had something done. And those were the guys that set the rules and the bar. That's why the rule changes came. That's why you were allowed 310 cubic inches and whatever compression and all that stuff. Those motors, through time, got pretty crazy. So you can't compare this stuff to a factory stock. I had a guy try to tell me my car was a factory stock style build, comparing the two. I said, you can't even compare the two. I said, I'm talking a bone stock 302 with an intake and carb and exhaust shoved on it, and you're talking about a car where they put the heads out in the dirt and then ball peen them so they're not ported and all this stuff. All the tricks done in them, there's a lot of tricks. Milling the heads down, all the stuff they do. They let the heads rust so that way when they have to clean them up, it knocks whatever out. There's a lot of tricks done to those motors that people don't know, that I found out from factory stock racers themselves. Some of the guys, they won't tell you everything, but they'll hint it. And trust me, there's a lot more done to those motors than you can even fathom. So do not even, like my motor, can't even compare what my motor was to what they had. Even the good motor, I say good meaning the fast one, the one that went 10s on motor, like that wouldn't be allowed in the class. but that's less than what they have, even though I have a bigger cam and stuff like that. But their cams are, I mean, factory stock. They set a great example because it shows what you can get away with and how fast you can go with it. I mean, that being said, like I said, the heads, they might not be ported, but they're done up. And they have every trick in the book that you can throw at them. And trust me when I tell you that that gasket that fits on that is probably not much smaller than this one. I have a set of the head somewhere off of one of the cars. And I can tell you that a stock gasket is not going to fit it. And that was off of one of the record holding cars. Leave it at that. The cams, you can have any numbers on them except the lift. Lift has to stay under 480. So you can either, and that's at the rocker, so you can either use a 1.7 with a 444 lift cam, or which is a stock lift cam, or you can use the big cam 480 lift with the 1.6 rocker. From what I was told. If I'm wrong, please feel free to enlighten me, but that's what I was always told. Cubic inch, they got up around 308, 310, maybe 312. I can't quite remember. I had a whole rule book on what you were allowed to do. If I could find the NMRA book, if the little pamphlet in there, that the rule book, maybe I'll make a video on that and look for it. I had the rule book that told you everything you could do to one of those cars, minus the tricks with the heads and stuff that, you know, isn't in the rule book. But trust me, they take that rule book and the best cheater wins. That's the name of the class. Even the Coyote stock class now, it's the best cheater wins. That doesn't get away with, that doesn't get caught. The guy that don't get caught is going to be the winner. But my point is here that you can have a simple setup, go fast. A lot of the stuff isn't really worth doing until you get a time that has been proven to you. You know, that's one reason why I did the green car the way I did it, was to show that you could take a 302 junk bullcrap motor and go 11s with it. 1180s. That's what I went. So I didn't just go 1190 one time. It went 1180s pretty consistent. You know, I go 1187. You know, I think when 1182 was the best with a 1. 1183. You know, I could do it back to back pretty good. So if somebody hit me with a number like that, personally, I'm going to try to beat it because I'm pretty competitive when it comes to that stuff. If you'd say, yeah, I got a 302, it goes this fast. You know, I can tell if you're either bull crapping me, or by talking to you, I can usually tell if you know your crap, or if you're just completely over exaggerating, because there's only one of the two. Usually the guys that know are pretty quiet, and the guys that don't are the ones that will tell you, oh, I had this back in the day, and I did this and that and that and this and this and that and the third, and you should have seen it. Used to shift that thing with no clutch and all that. Pop a Coke can in the parking lot over there at Kmart, and you know what I mean? Pop the clutch and just wheelie right over it. Those are the guys that usually are exaggerators and storytellers. Hate to say that, pick on anybody, but if that's you, I'm sorry. But, and I've had a lot of guys, I got people that I've worked with, and they, oh, I used to do cars, yeah, you'd hit that thing and it would just come right up and it had a big block in it, whatever the case may be. Storytellers that want to fit in, and it's great that you want to have something in common with somebody, you know, whatever, but I just okay, I had a guy tell me he had a Mustang with a Porsche motor in it because he couldn't find no small block Chevys in the junkyard. I can't even tell you guys that with a straight face. This is a true story, though. The guy literally said, all I could find was a Porsche motor. This was back in 1996. 96. Couldn't find a single small block Chevy in the junkyard. I can't even talk because I'm getting so excited over this, but I said, why didn't you put a 400 or a 350 in it? He goes, couldn't find none. I said, you couldn't find a single small block Chevy in a junkyard? I said, bro, me and my dad used to go to the junkyard, and that was the first thing we tripped over was a small block Chevy. I said, you gotta be kidding me. So I said, hey, what transmission did you use? And then came the excuse, I got in a motorcycle accident. And that might be true. Maybe you did get in a motorcycle accident. Got hurt. Memories messed up. But you remembered you put a Porsche motor into a Mustang foxbody back in 96, but you didn't make a magazine or nothing with it. And you don't remember the key ingredient to making that work. The transmission. Now, if you're a car guy, even if you didn't quite remember, I probably made an adapter or something, with stock T5 or something. You'd think of something, but nope, just nothing. But getting back to this fox body stuff, those are a couple of mistakes. The GT40 heads, the average popular cams that people want to shove in them. Putting a big cam in it with the stock head isn't going to really help. It's going to smother it. Combination has to match. I've said it over and over in past videos. So, another one is gearing. A lot of people, I want 355s, I want 373s. That's fine. This is the difference between a drag racer and a guy who wants to race. Gear it. 430 and a 28. If you're going to use a 26, you can get away with like a 390. But I like gear. So I'm going to tell everybody a 430 and let that thing rev. If it's going to rev, it's going to rev. If it hits a wall, it hits a wall. It's better to get there quick and to take longer to get there. That's how I look at it. And then the suspension stuff, a setup car. These are the keys to key ingredients. Making a car run. A lot of people, they set the stuff up. You got guys who put poly stuff in the cars. They use them cheap eBay upper and lower control arms because they're $150 or whatever they cost. Big mistakes. If you want to drive a car or you got a project sitting and you just want to shove those in there to get it out and drive it, that's fine. To race on it and things. I've known guys that go fast on them and they still rip them to pieces, but they are going to rip and they are trash. So it's a matter of time, especially with a stick car. If it's violent, it's going to rip the stuff apart. The only thing that's better with the poly stuff is you won't rip the car apart, but that solid stuff, it could cause somebody to go into a wall. You rip that bushing out and it steers the car, or cocks the rear, which is going to steer the car. So that stuff, it's important. Make the sacrifices. If it's something that you really want to drive and, you want to take it to the track and have fun with, then do your thing. But to you guys that actually, you want a weekend warrior, you don't care about the heat and AC, or even if you want a heater, you can have it. That ain't going to make or break the deal. I've done it. I kept the heater in the car for that reason. That's why I had the 6-speaker radio, I had the heater, I had all the amenities in the car that were needed to make the car decent. I had the power lumbar, tweed seats in it. The leather ones aren't any really heavier or anything. The leather seat's actually sitting in the car now. It's going back in it. But there is time in that where, if, say you go a 12.0, you got an 11-second pass sitting there with the plastic race seat. So the sacrifices and then making your parts work and making them count. That's the important stuff with the fox body stuff. Sorry that, I'm kind of dull in this video. I got this crap going on. I probably shouldn't even be out here. I should probably be in bed. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, but just wanted to get a video out to you guys. Been wanting to make one ever since I got sick. Especially, you guys, if you ask for something, I like to try to get it out to you. It's a little bit off of what I was asked to do. I was asked for more tips and tricks on the fox body stuff, but fair, I make something of a lot of the mistakes that the guys make, because this is common stuff. I mean, you look at every Mustang now, and if it don't have GT40s on it, then it's probably a mostly original car. Or a B-cam. It was a very popular thing that people did. You got to think, these guys, they would go from a 1350, do that stuff, and go 12s, and they were happy, or a 13.0. They were thinking they were doing something back then when they did this stuff. And back at the time, it was good, but nobody realized back then, I guess, what this stuff was capable of doing. I caught it very young, and I was told I could never do it. I was 13. I was a teenager, and I said, I'm going to go 11s with a stock motor. And the guy, who's my cousin, he goes, can't, it's impossible. So I'm going to do it. So I'll do all the tricks I got to do, because I was reading the rule book, factory stock. So I'll do actually I was reading the book on the Cobras. I said if I took the cam out of the Cobra or the rockers from a Cobra, piece that stuff together in a regular 302, probably get the power it needs to do it. I didn't know nothing. I was a kid, but somehow I figured it out, not knowing. My dad had the car at the time with the 302 in it, and he was going 13.0, 1290, whatever it went back then. But I was told it was impossible, and then I ended up doing it. So trust me, there's stock 302 has a lot of potential, especially 80s roller motor, 90s roller motor, 87 to 92 with the forged pistons, valve relief motor. There's a lot, even the 86 one with the non-valve reliefs, just changing some stuff on there. A lot of potential that a lot of people don't bother getting out of them, because either maybe they don't know or they get fed up. I know my buddy Alex was getting fed up because I said, you can't spray this car until it goes 11s. That's why I told him. And he never sprayed it, and he ended up selling the car to a buddy of ours, to Mickey. The car still hasn't gone 11s yet. Mickey will probably get it there, because Mickey's doing this stuff because for him it's a different type of car. And that's the point. Drag racer, make the sacrifice. Not saying that my buddy's not a drag racer, but he's someone who more so likes to race and cruise around than he is just a full-on drag racer. But he does listen to me, and, I'm the drag racer where he kind of takes it and meshes it into his own. So we kind of both get the best of both worlds, I guess. But this ended up being almost another 40-minute video, so hopefully you guys learned a little something. It's a long video for the information I gave you guys, and you guys just listening to me talk. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you guys can figure out what you guys want to do with your stuff, and if it's worth it to you to go through the trouble to put those parts, or save up and put better parts in it, or or maybe you'll break out your own Dremel and start cleaning some heads up and seeing what you guys can accomplish. Because you definitely, I'm going to put it to you this way, don't be scared to hurt no stock Ford head unless you go through and you don't have the resources to fix it. But a stock Ford head, you can't make them big enough. Just don't touch the floor. On the exhaust, on the intake. You can watch what my dad says. He'll explain it better, but that'll be the only thing that hurts a Ford head. But the rest of it, widening the port, opening it up, blending the bowls in, that throat into the valve. Don't be scared to touch it and open that up. Even if you say, I don't want to go that far. It's alright. Can't hurt it. It's not going to hurt it. That being said, you guys have a good one. And comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. More content. What you guys like. What you guys don't want to hear. Even. You know, that video sucked, Adam. Go back to whatever else. Give me some feedback. Let me know. Just here to try to help you guys out. And, you know, I've done this stuff. So it's in the past for me. Trying out different things now, so who knows, maybe I'll go back to it, but one day. But as of right now, I'm taking a break from it. So you guys do it, have fun doing it. That's the important part. Meet some people along the way, because that's what makes it fun, is when you meet the people and when they walk up to the car and they look at it and, man, how are you doing this? It's a good feeling. Especially when you did it. Guys might take it from me, the information, but if you guys can do it, because that's the hard part, is actually doing it. I'll tell you right now, there's been a lot of guys that I've coached, and I've seen a lot of guys who have made it close or who have done it, and I'm seeing a lot of guys who haven't done it. And some of the guys who haven't done it had more information and more help. So if you guys can do it, good job and good luck. I'll see you guys around.